We are right into the game as we load onto it. And
Whoa, what
I'm,
is Froggy doing? Holy, there's this little frog running out of the base, and that had some speed. Okay, I've never seen that before. Nice job, Observers.
yeah, but that was not the foggy bit that we usually know, like from Saigon Buff. It was a different one. Either way of that, Fook one on this vibe pick. You asked me where it's really pathing towards. I would expect them to also maybe match this early aggression from the Renekton Elise to some extent. Just so you know, Yoshino's on the Jace. A champion ranged into melee, you would likely get the first push against this, despite Renekton's early prowess. So, yeah, being covered by the Vi would be something that makes it a bit easier for them and make him not fall to early ganks on their side. So I think Fukwon, because of that one, starting on his own blue side red buff to help him out a little bit and to make sure that Pan just can't take off on this top side reactant pick. It's just so baffling to me that to see Pan being strong sided for once.
Well, yeah, Pun used to actually have some carry champs up his sleeve, but I feel like in 2023, Renekton is a little bit of a fake strong side champion, right?
Yes.
A lot of teams just pick him and then ignore him for a long time. I'm interested to see what Drakthar decides to do. He did start bot side, so 3-minute top gank is definitely on the cards. Could be something they try to do, and Jace usually has push in the early game, as you can see here. Yoshino, insane laning performances in the first week, so we expect him to dominate Pun at least in the 1v1 matchup, but this could be the bait that Cerberus set up for Yoshino to overpush and then die to the Elise gank.
Oh, and Pan missed the third minion. It's such a disaster. I mean, I'm just kidding. Yoshino hits level 2, has, of course, great control of this wave, as you said. And that's also one thing that was excelling Cerberus in the split that they won. They didn't even always strongside Artemis. He was actually being left alone quite a bit in some games and still just one lane in the 2v2 or even 2v3 sometimes. So he would still be fine if he isn't getting much attention from the side of Drakthar or Yado in the general theme of things. So let's wait and see how they will play this one out as yeah, with Pan. I mean, I think it might also just be Cerberus being surprised that Elise is being left open. Usually you would expect the red side to ban it, but they maybe kind of expected to maybe get a small edge there as Drakthar got to play Elise, and maybe as they actually got Elise with Team Flash not picking it up, they were like, why not just pick Renekton? We want it on Pan anyway. And for Pan specifically, I'm interested to see what his item build will be. If he will play the Torpedo Renekton build with the Blade of the Wound King Prowler's Claw to just one-shot somebody and then likely usually die, or just to go the standard God Drinker item build that we have seen more recently.
Elise is close, but she doesn't decide to go for the gank, and now what is she going to accomplish? Is she trying to wrap around to get behind Yoshino? That could be something we are looking at. I would really like to see the top side here, because bot side is just trading. Oh, but here we have the first jungle clash, and Fook 1 going in, but Drakthar wins the smite and now in a much better position, but Drakthar kind of exposed. He has to flash over the wall. Does Yoshino follow up? He is looking at the wall, but not quite there.
He also was very much out of mana, I think. I mean, he can maybe pull it off, but... Oh, Artemis can 2v2 maybe? Artemis dies 2v2 against the bot lane of Podin and Sova, one of the bot lanes that we didn't really have on our menu so far, and that's something I didn't expect. I mean, Tahm Kench, not really the champion to really protect your pre-6 that much, only offensively, and maybe that's why they fell down to it. Here we see again how it happened. Ignite being down. Onto
honestly, just disrespectful from Artemis there. Just thought he could walk away slowly, flash pretty late, so strike number 1 goes to his apprentice. The master loses the first interaction to Podin, and yeah, maybe I'm pushing too much on this storyline, but I think it's pretty funny, because the first iteration of Artemis being kind of behind the big ADC was Slater playing for Flash, and then Artemis being on the sideline as Pun needs to be careful. Oh, he's getting closer to the bush. This could be...
Oh, Fuku charges up.
There he is. That's an easy one. No?
Is it? Pan doesn't have Dominus, but he got out with the slice and dice combination, and Yoshino doesn't want to flash offensively for it. Also, Pan having his own flash would just trade the flash basically with him. But I'm just still baffled by the fact that Artemis and Wannopy got 2v2'd by Pan and Sova. Either way, very disrespectful play for them. I think that's what ultimately cost them. And also one thing that we haven't addressed so far, it's lethal tempo, Artemis, virus, and he also started with the components of the Noon Quiver, so it will not be the poke virus this time. It will actually be the more scaling option to go for the crit item build, and potentially something like a Rage Blade, maybe even being in for the on-hit part of it, but it's either on it or quit virus usually with those components in his inventory.
And I'm wondering, is that a little bit of ego coming through from Artemis? He doesn't want to play that laid-back poke style of Varus. He wants to be the carry. Is that maybe... Could be a mistake later on, because this build, of course, doesn't spike as hard on one item or on two items. Will be better in the late game, but I'm wondering, do you think he can actually auto-attack into all those CC tools on the other team? Maybe staying back and playing a little bit of a long-ranged poke style would have been the better choice in this game.
I think with this Kench pick, he can somewhat auto-attack, I guess, in those teamfights. Gotta say though, like the enemy composition kind of screams at you to maybe play the poke bit, because they don't have an actual tank.
And Ronald P gets caught out. That's one kill for Artemis. Can they chase on to put in? Ronald P is trying to buy a little bit of time, trying to get space for Artemis. Fook1 needs to be very careful if he gets tagged by Ronald P. Yep, okay, he disengages in time. That was very close. He actually was full HP and still almost dead there. And one kill back to Cerberus. Nice first interaction for Druktha. He didn't find the top lane gank, but at least he finds a kill in the bot side of the map.
Yeah, one way to enable Artemis back again onto this map to get him fed with one more kill into his pocket. So at the end of the day, gold back to even. Also Artemis naturally with a small CS lead. You never see Artemis without a CS lead basically. In this current meta is something that we usually would expect, as we see a little bit of a dive to the mid lane. Both mid laners very even in CS, both on scaling picks of course, and with the Word of Ages very much so, as much as the Victor. I think the Victor of course a bit more easier to play, as he has such good area control and any kind of relying on the Flash Tibbers engagement tool. And here's Druktha in the top lane. He misses the cocoon though.
They can still get the kill maybe if Druktha... No, Druktha is dead! Ooh, that was misplayed pretty badly from Cerberus. Pun, at first they don't land the very easy CC there with the cocoon just going white, and then the follow-up wasn't great either. Pun could have maybe tanked it a little bit better for Druktha there, so not the best execution on the super strong combination of Renekton and Elise. They still probably get the better of the that end of the trade, because they push in the wave, they get a reset for Pun, but yeah, let's look at this again. Druktha,
yeah.
What?
So impatient, he could just walk up a bit more. I don't think he's even in vision at this point, so he had all the time in the world to really think this through in his mind, to really pull off the cocoon play. And even if not, I mean, they still follow through with the play, which is a fine decision in itself. But as you say, I think Punch should tank at least 1 shot more, maybe even 2, to make it a clear 1-for-0. Like this, it's just a 1-for-1, Yoshino getting a kill, and that's still scary on the Jace. He scales very well with items, I gotta say, and he has very expensive items too, with maybe even later on the Rural Mana Cyrilda Squatch combination coming out with him. Maybe we might even see the Godwinker Jace we have seen in LCK recently instead of the Eclipse one, as Eclipse got changed a little bit. It's no longer a sustain item. And Fook1 rewards himself with the Rift Herald as an expense compared to the Mountain Break on the other side, which is of course something that they really want to have to nullify a bit of the any engaged potential and the Jace poke.
Yeah, and we see Cerberus actually pivoting to bot side control, trying to zone Puddin away from his wave. Puddin has to stay super far back, so now Team Flash is reacting with a little bit of counter pressure, but that's a lot of money into Artemis. That's a big advantage now in CS and in turret plating, so Team Flash maybe a little bit slow to react and protect the ADC, so now Puddin will stay behind in terms of items and power spikes, especially if you play crit against crit. Those first item power spikes are quite important, so this Sivir is now resigned to just farm out for the next, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, because she's gonna hit her items and item timings a little bit later than the enemy ADC, which also gives Cerberus a nice way to play this mid game aggressively. They still have super strong engage on on the side of Renekton and Elise and so on, so I feel like Cerberus is in a comfortable position in this game so far.
And we also see the fully adapted way of Artemis item builds here, as he wants to guarantee that he gets the auto attack. He doesn't go for the Kraken Slayer itemization, he goes for the shield bow instead, to at least have some form of survivability if he gets engaged on, with the shield coming out, with the increased lifesteal being there, so he can play these later teamfights out well with that one, as he gets, yeah. As he assumes to get resets in this fight, to really have this passive going on with the increase in attack speed, so he will lifesteal up quite a bit in these fights. As the hero charge goes down in the bot lane, we see more plates falling to the side of Team Flash, at least some sort of a breath of fresh air for the side of Puddin, and so I gotta say that they get some resources back into their pocket and can, I would say they must be around even gold against Artemis and 1OP right now, so it will be fine on their end, but regardless of that, it looked pretty dire beforehand, as on their own Artemis created the gold lead in the CS department yet again.
Yeah, and I actually feel like this is something they need to go back and watch again on the Cerberus side, because that was quite a big macro mistake. They completely misread the map situation. They didn't know where Fook 1 was, so they could have protected the bot tower much better, but recalling all of their players opened up the bot tower for the Rift Hole charge, and that's a lot of gold back, as you said, to put in. And that's exactly what they didn't want to happen. So now, out of nowhere, Putin is back here with first item too, so he's not actually as far behind as I said earlier, and this is going okay for the team fighting aspect of Flash. They still need a lot of time if you look at their item builds, and as you pointed out earlier, this is going to be a little bit more of a melee style Jace with the Gore Drinker being built in the top lane.
It actually is, and speaking of Putin, I mean, with the Kraken Slayer against the Sheeper, he probably deals more damage than Artemis overall right now, so in the team fights we definitely need to watch out for what Putin can really do. I mean, if he actually gets to auto-attack a lot, Silver being a bit outranged by the Varus, making it kind of hard in some instances, but it's just for the side of the Flash. What I think is important is that the poke from the Jace lands, if he is good with the team, and if not, that of course the engage from the Flash Timbers is landing by the side of Jane. I don't think that Cerberus will be easy to open without that one, as of course Fook 1 also has other ways to engage the fight, and so does Sora, but I mean, we don't want to have it too telegraphed, so we definitely need to have stuff really like this one.
There's a flash over the wall, and that's a lot of CC. There's the Tibbets. That's an easy kill. This time around, they actually make the kill happen. Last time I called it an easy kill, they actually bamboozled me, but this time there's too much. And that's a kill 1.5 minutes before the dragon spawning. They got the flash from Yado, and their ultimates should be on cooldown. So that's pretty much just a good exploit, giving Jane time to scale maybe into his first item. He's pretty far behind the curve right now. We are in 13 minutes and he still doesn't have the rower, which is a little concerning for my side, but once again, good aggression from Team Flash. They really have to this combination of players and just synergy between their players down. Even in their match against Gum, this looked very much the same. So I'm super impressed with this team that everyone thought would be one of the weaker teams of the league. And yes, they are 0-2, but all three of the early games so far have been quite impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely a very stable early game. On the overall side though, I wonder if it's really worth to burn so many summoner spells just to kill Yado there. I mean, of course I got Yado's flash and ultimate, but also causing them 2 flashes and then Ignite from Sora I think as well. Also their ultimates. And overall, it will be back for the Drake for both sides, so it should be fine as the top lane gets a close 1v1. I think Pan wins this if he gets close to him again, and Yoshino needs to wait out the Dominus. If he, however, waits out the Dominus, then Yoshino can turn this and just full on melee the Renekton here with just a Shock Blast. But as long as the W is back up for Pan, I think Pan wins this again. So it makes sense that both don't really go full committing for it.
Good respect from Yoshino. I'm so impressed with this laning, because last time we saw him when Flash was on their 1-13, the worst split ever from one of our teams, they looked horrendous, and even Yoshino looked pretty bad. But now back in the league, I had so many worries about this player, because he used to be a legend of the team. Oh, we go on Yado again.
Yeah, full picker coming out.
Another flash over the wall. Yado deals so much damage to Fook. They can maybe counteract this. Pan is here as well, and from the other side, Artemis. Oh, it's going horribly wrong. Okay, Ron OP flashing after the enemy. But Jane, it's just a 1-for-1. They actually walk away fine. Now Druxler needs to be careful. There's a big angry bear chasing him off his own jungle.
Tibbers is very much very scary in this situation. Tibbers the hidden MVP of this fight, alongside of course the other mid lane pet being there, which is Yado's Chaos Storm, also kind of dealing a lot of damage there, probably more than Yado himself. And with that, it's a 1-for-1. I think overall Cerberus is fine with that, as they have the better position for the Drake. Sora was going I don't know where, probably to another country to get executed there, so it almost feels like a 2-for-1, not in the gold department, but in the overall map presence department. So Cerberus gets to take the Drake. Also, trading 1-for-1 against Victor, not a good idea, as he gets to take his glorious evolution buttons. But I digress, as we see this replay. Hard engage to Yado again, but he gets off the Chaos Storm in this super close corridor. So he still deals a lot of damage despite dying, and then the whole cavalry is there for the side of Cerberus. 1 OP's flash was a bit optimistic. Either way, Giant doesn't get chased down by Druxler, but Druxler gets chased down by the side of the Timbers, but he still survives and is ready for this Drake play. So overall, Sam was fine with that one, as Pan and Yoshino, yeah, they are still having a normal one in the top lane.
Oh, Yoshino needs to be very careful. This wave is gone. He's on the wrong side of the rift, but he has the assistance from his team. Pan now knows about that, and Pan is under danger now, being dived. Does he have the ultimate? Yes, he activates it, but that's so much damage. Well done. The CC is chained together, and Big Crocodile is made into a back. Team Flash is so impressive. Their coordination between their players is just on point. They're looking, especially when it comes to these skirmish situations, they are very impressive to me. Mechanically, chaining together their CC perfectly, and yeah, giving Cerberus a run for their money. A 1.3k gold lead now for the new old team in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just a clean dive without the wave. I mean, I could see many VCS teams screwing that up mechanically in some way. You need to really have your CC chain ready to go to prevent Renekton from really doing too much while activating Dominus to buy some time there, and then just doing sustained shenanigans with the Kalnamik, with the Gore Linker. It could just end up in a 1-for-1 or even a disaster dive if you don't play that out cleanly, but they did. I mean, it just was a good play by the side of Team Flash to punish Pan a little bit more, and at the end of the day, net them a small gold lead, which is of course to be matched up against the two Drakes that Cerberus got on the other side. I think at the end of the day, it would be a very even state of the game overall, I would say, as Cerberus maybe even a tad more happy with these Drakes being on their side, and Yardo scaling very comfortably despite being a bit bullied by ganks, I gotta say. And yeah, Jane finally finished this one of ages. First minute stack is on it, and it's will take like 9 minutes for him to get a free level of it, which will be quite late for one of ages in general. But other than that, yeah, I mean, Pauline also being very well farmed in the game, having already 2 kills.
So, oh, never mind. Maybe I don't have the time to ask you. Yep, my paladin just runs away. Nice. So, as we slow down a little bit, because the mid game is going to hit and no objectives are on the map, how do you want Team Flash to play this out now? So, from their perspective, they've had 3 very good early games. They have a composition that's pretty plug and play, pretty easy to execute. Basically, just run at them. A little bit of Bronze Zodia going on, in my opinion, with a lot of CC and single target, just point-and-click CC, I should say. So, what is their goal for the next 10 minutes? How do they exploit Cerberus in the next few minutes here?
It's simple, they kill Artemis. I mean, it won't be just that this is simple, because the time can be around it, but I think the time to really focus on the top lane is kind of over right now, as Yoshino should basically be in a position to just be fine against the Renekton. He has been before, and Renekton will just fall off on his own anyway, so I think he should maybe shift the focus a little bit. I think ganking Yardo will get harder and harder as he gets more self-control with all the Victor upgrades being in his pocket. He should be at around 2 upgrades right now, with 160 CS being in his department, and also 1 assist, and like having some cannons. He will likely be at that 200 mark right now, maybe a little bit above that. So I think Artemis should be like the hard focus of your competition right now. The others are either too hard to gank or not worth to gank, in my opinion. But you need to have, of course, a way to work around the Devour from the Tamkench. And in general, you need to get at least like 1 Drake, because otherwise this Drake Soul Stack win condition is very, very scary for the side of Team Flash. It would be a potential Chemtech Soul that Cerberus would claim for themselves. 1 more minute up for the next Drake, and of course, for the side of Team Flash, that means need to shift your vision control and map control a bit more around this bot set area to make sure that you can have a good fight around the Drake.
Yeah, but looking at the champions and their power spikes right now, I'm wondering if Cerberus should even try to fight here, because there are quite a few items coming in for Flash, and in general, I think they are champions. If you look at any compared to the Victor and the current itemization point, I'm not so sure Cerberus can fight this, and indeed, Flash is looking for the engage there. Fook very far forward and just sparring.
Very early Herald. I mean, the Herald will get the charge through, but the Herald won't be a distraction for the Drake, which is something that I would have preferred there to really just buy a bit more seconds with it. I mean, maybe the Herald was timing out. I don't want to charge them too harshly for that one, and as it got the charge off, that's maybe even the best you could get out of it, and it still managed to make the positioning for this Drake a bit better for them, but Pullin just took a good chunk.
He does have... Oh, there's the fight. Oh, we see Jane flashing in. There's the Tibbers, but it didn't really do all that much. Just stunning Run OP, and now Cerberus in a good position to chase. Artemis with the flash ultimate of Fook. He has to flash away immediately. Yoshino, this is going... Is it going great? It's very muddy, very hard to see what's actually happening. But Cerberus is finally putting together the kills. Run OP chasing once again, aggressively flashing forward. Run OP, you're not playing Leona in this game. Stop with the flash forward just to tongue lick the opponent, and he very comfortably walks away. But Cerberus got what they came for. They will walk away with the better dragon here, and that is exactly what they need to scale into the later parts of the game. Soul point secured.
And not just that, I mean, it's sole point for them, a very, very strong soul, I gotta say that one. And they also take the mid lane outer turret, so a bit more map control for them to find a potential 4th Drake for their side. Gold lead for the side of Team Flash, a bit more than 500 gold, which at the 20-minute mark is not really something to write home about. And we have seen these fights, right? A fair 5v5 looks very, very easily manageable for the side of Cerberus Esports, as the any Flash team is engaged. This kind of has to work, and they kind of need to one-shot somebody to have the full value of it. And Yoshino, if he is in the team fight, he needs to land poke beforehand to really have the same value or more value than the Renekton. Otherwise, this God Ranker Renekton going Sterak second can also just do a lot of brawling, and these front to back fights are what Cerberus loves to do.
And back in the day when we saw Tahm Kench support every single game, because reasons, one strategy to fight against it in teamfights was a lot of AoE damage, right? So Annie, in my mind, would be a really good answer into Tahm Kench, because he can stun him and the person he wants to protect with his ultimate, or back then the W. But this time Jane just only hit Ron OP, and it didn't really do anything. Ron OP dropped to, I don't know, half HP maybe, but no one could follow up. The Sivir, as you pointed out earlier, is pretty low range, so she needs the enemies to come into her to really be effective, or use a W later on with a little bit more damage. But I think this was mostly on Jane. Sadly, we can't see the replay right now. Oh, and here we go again. Jane this time landing the ultimate on the ADC, but Artemis protected. He's still in there. Artemis, does he go down? Yeah, there he goes. Put-in is pretty low. They can't really chase too effectively. And Tibus is protecting them against Yado's counterattack. But look at the health bars. They dropped to so low HP, even while finding the perfect target on Artemis. So these teamfights look quite hard to play from Flash's side.
Gotta say though, as a big Cerberus fan in general, that was not a good sequence of play for Cerberus. I mean, staying so long on the dying turret, giving away the shutdown from Artemis, I mean, just to trade for some health bars is not really a worthy play, and this is something that shouldn't really happen again. Turret was basically dying again. Artemis probably confident because he could play it around together with the Devourer, but not that well. I mean, 1OP has to spin him out, he almost gets gold himself and has to die there, so Artemis definitely putting him into some sort of trouble there. 2k gold lead yet again for Team Flash. As I said again though, 2k gold lead doesn't really mean that much anymore. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? But it's not really game breaking or game significant in any way.
And walk me through Sivir itemization here, because I'm a big Sivir player, and I love this new item you can build. Of course, the Navori Quick Blade. It feels so strong and so good. But she seems to be going for old crit itemization. This seems to be the full on-hit
Infinity Edge, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? Do you like it?
I think it's fine. The Navori, of course, would have stronger boomerang blades, so the Q would definitely have some extra damage that you can profit of. I think either of that is kind of fine, and gotta say the Navori Quick Blades in general, not a new item, it's just a new relevant item as it got changed with Hearts. I mean, you can basically call it a new item with an old name and an old icon, basically. That kind of makes sense, I guess.
And the added ability damage is very new.
It is, yeah, that's why you can call it a new item, basically. It's kind of fair in that sense. Either way, Infinity Edge I think is fine here. I mean, you basically just want to work on your auto attacks. Ganatezu, with the aspect that they are getting a bit outranged in the Sivir against Varus department, maybe Navori would be a good option here as well. Maybe a better one even, as you rely on your Q damage to be really high.
Yeah, and now we really have to hone in on, does he actually finish this item? Because the dragon is coming up, that's Soul for Cerberus, and Podden needs that IE to be the threat that Team Flash might be able to do, for Team Flash to be able to win that team fight, because that's crucial for the game. If they lose the Soul here, maybe it's not a game-winning Soul, I'm not sure, but it's still a huge disadvantage, so...
I think the Soul is definitely game winning. I mean, most Souls kind of are, gotta say though. And the Chem Soul with Renekton and Varus, the life-stealing crit Varus especially. I mean, how do you even kill that guy? I mean, damage reduction when he's low, he gets to heal more, he gets to hurt you more with his item build itself.
But then you have to recall. They're trying to funnel the resources into him, but the dragon is coming up in 30 seconds. They might have missed the timing here, and Cerberus with a good punish. They know the enemy ADC has to recall for an item, but they're not giving them any space, and now Putin has to fight without his big crit multiplier.
Yeah, and also Jane not really finding the game impact he probably wanted to have with his Banshee's Veils, fully stacked Word of Ages Annie, and he's not really being that respected by Cerberus right now, as Draktar going really close, and they can just look for picks. and just pick and poke a little bit with the Elise. That's why she's strong right now. Can easily chunk out even the tankiest of tanks, and Fukwan, here some of them are, but I don't think that the Elise with the Sorcerer's Boots, with the Batting Jewel does care really much, and this is now Cerberus. They can, I mean, afford to go for a flip, right? If they lose the flip, okay, one Drake, some time wasted, but if they win the flip, they basically win the game.
He's in there, Fook is in there, but he has to flash immediately. He has to exit the pit, and that's the soul secured from the other side. Jane, this time hitting a lot of members with the Tibbers. Can they follow up? Where's the damage? Yoshino can't do anything. He's the melee Jace, but he's not dealing anything. And Pun might be able... Oh, wow, even Pun walks away with Runopi saving him there. This is horrible for Flash. They need to get the kills. Everyone is super low in Cerberus, but if...
They all get out.
Oh, there we go. That's the flash from Sora. No. The first kill goes over to Cerberus, and Flash just can't find the mark. They don't have the follow-up, and Cerberus just walks away with murder. They get the dragon and a kill, and Flash is just limping away there. Oh, their mid and late game still looks a little shaky.
Yeah, and as I said before, I mean, Cerberus can not only afford to go for the flip, it also isn't really a flip, as Elise has such better execute mechanics than the Vi, who even gets forced out of the pit here with the flash and the Vault Breaker. Actually, as Fook 1, I would try to suicide myself for the steal here. I mean, you're just not that important right now, sorry Fook 1, as this fight gets dragged out. I mean, Cerberus doesn't really want the fight, they're kind of forced into it, and Flash, angry that they lost the soul to Cerberus, now wants to get away with at least some kills, and I mean, Sora wants to live up to his team's name, flashes forward just to get the engage going on, and while he does that, the damage reduction from the Chem Soul makes it so nobody dies, instead, of course, of Sora himself. So it is the soul, it is one kill up on top of that for Cerberus, and I said before, I mean, they had 2k gold down, that's completely whatever. I think this is a game-winning soul, especially with this composition. I mean, it could be worse, they could have something like an Olaf or something on the team, they don't have that one, but I mean, even with Renekton, with Varus, with Victor, that's such a good soul, and it's such a strong soul in general.
Yeah, and I have to wonder what would have happened. Oh, nice Q buffer there from Sora. He walks away. I have to wonder what would have happened if Sivir had the IE, because she had perfect positioning. She put W's through all of the enemy team. It was bouncing back and forth like crazy, but there was no damage because no IE. It dealt like 120 damage per tick, which really just tickled them. So that might have been the game-losing recall timing that Team Flash missed, and that's actually something you expect with new teams, right? These small little macro aspects that are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more obscure to teach, because everyone knows how to do transition into other sides. We're in 2023, we know how to transform pressure to the side lane and so on, how to play Barons mostly, but these recall timings and the intricacies over there might have been the downfall in this game for Flash. I don't want to be super negative though, because they're still impressing me in terms of their early game and how they can stand up to one of the better teams in terms of mechanics, but we need to see the next step taken from this team so they can actually win games.
We definitely need to do that, and as we get later in this game, gotta also say, like, Flash in the past, this looked a bit like a pushover team. This time, I mean, they still have a gold lead, but it doesn't feel like they have one, but they're still kind of far from irrelevant in this, and it's still a game that's down to execution by the side of Cerberus. I mean, it should be a formality for a coordinated team, but here we see Fukwan landing the engage with Vault Breaker plus Ultimate, and they will maybe kill off the Renekton, but will there be a response? They actually won't. It's just a clean pickup. I mean, nicely done by Team Flash.
Yeah, this time they actually land the kill, and this is gonna be the go button for the Baron. Big frontliner is down. Ronopi could W in there to be a little bit of a scout on frontline, but it's dangerous, and they're playing still against the Sivir. Tib is not available in terms of active. It's still standing there and tanking Baron, but the Baron is going low, 3000 HP. Yoshino from the other side. Yado is chasing him, but here we have a big stun, and the Baron is secured by Flash. They strike back. They actually get something back in this map. Very good pick on Pun, and they will extend the game with this Baron pickup. What can Cerberus do on the other side? Yado chased down the top laner, so Yoshino is not there. Pun does have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the timer on his death, so they might actually hard push in mid lane. No, they just will
here we see the pickup again. It looked a bit like an overcommitment at first to me, because it was a Vault Breaker fully offensive and then followed by the cease and desist, but the whole team was there, while there was no way for Cerberus to return the fire. The only thing they could do was Artemis missing his Chain of Corruption, the most missed ultimate in the game maybe, and ultimately ended up just in the pick, and Flash instantly pulling the trigger and forcing Baron despite playing against this Chemstar composition just showed that they really have guts in this game and still want to really fight for it. At the end of the day, consolation prize for Cerberus was 1 inner turret and Yoshino's life, but considering they also lost the pick beforehand, that is a very small price to pay for Team Flash to get a Baron and get like some sort of control of this game again, especially with Elder being up in 80 seconds. I mean, they will likely still have the Baron buff, or at least some resemblances of that, considering the map control they can now establish, and this game is far from over.
Yeah, and so far they've failed at every setup for the Dragons, so let's see if they can do it a little bit better now. With the assistance of Baron minions, it should be easier for them to push out mid lane and even bot lane. Jane is sitting in bot lane right now, trying to prep the wave and maybe add a little bit of pressure from the bot side. Okay, so right now Flash is once again ceding control of the river. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but they do have to respect the Victor range and the Victor choke control. So it looks like Cerberus is very comfortably just re-establishing vision. I see one nice little ward there. Maybe Yoshino can land a flank TP if this ward keeps alive.
Yeah, and so far the setup looks good from Cerberus again, and not so good from Flash again. I don't like that. I think Team Flash doesn't really need to respect them that much in this situation. Gotta tell you, so maybe I underestimate the Chem Soul a bit too much there. And Yano is basically half a tank. He's not that easy to burst down. He's crowned.
Yeah, Cerberus completely missed Flash's engage here. This could be game. 2 kills already secured, 3 kills secured. Cerberus overcommitting into a fight that was already lost, chasing their losses, and this is Flash running away with this team fight. Cerberus caught completely off guard. That's a 5-for-0 ace, with multiple Flash still available from Cerberus' side. Court sleeping, I don't know what happened. Maybe they had to visit Rebel over there, because that was...
Wow.
That should just be... the game for Flash, pushing down the mid lane. Wow,
I'm
Cerberus
completely baffled, and so is
mistake.
Cerberus. They are so disjointed, and Flash just instantly pulled the trigger and just killed them all. I mean, they still had the Baron buff, they still have it right now, and it looked so over for them, but Team Flash just pulled the trigger and just straight up, and it's kind of disgusting, but also exciting me, because Team Flash really shows up in this game one.